I know a couple of y'all asked about Active Campaign specifically, so does anybody have it? Okay. So what David was saying about, it can translate to other ones, the answer to that is yes and no. If you were using something like MailChimp or Constant Contact, it's not going to be the same. Some aspects with paid versions, you can attempt to do some of these things. You'll find it more complicated, and it will be extremely simplified. It will be very basic. They just don't have the complications capability. I did talk with an actual coder today to really describe to me the difference between this and some of the big boy programs like Infusionsoft and Entreport, which they're more complicated, right? And the difference is it cannot export, it cannot send out one single piece of information. So if you're using something more complicated, I can tell the program to send to another program just your phone number or just your address, and they can talk back and forth like that. Whereas Active Campaign sends the entire file, making it more difficult for developers to integrate back and forth and for you to really do more complicated integration. For the crowd that I happen to be speaking to, y'all are not worried about that. So Active Campaign is more than sufficient and is going to be able to offer you more than your traditional email marketing campaigns you're using. So at a very base level, it's going to handle all your emails for you, right? Let's see, let me hop over to features real quick. And when I say emails, this can include the ones that most of y'all are probably more likely to understand, and that's just the bulk campaigns. You have a list of 300 people, and you want to send one email out to all 300 of them, right? And that's what MailChimp does, that's what Constant Contact does. This can do that, and unlike, let's say, Constant Contact, it already has a whole host of templates for you, so you don't have to go there and create. You just need to change colors and drag and drop your pictures. It's already going to be mobile friendly for you, so everyone, like I have clients who over 90% on mobile for their clients, for their own customer clients. So being mobile friendly is important because how many of you check your email on your phone? Most people. Like I said, all the templates are taken care of for you. You can easily create your own, so you can set up your own template once, change yours around and save it. And they host all your images for you, so you're not having to worry about the off-site hosting like you used to, kind of like back in the day. In addition to your basic ones, you're also going to be able to grow your contacts automatically, and that's where I try to get a lot of my clients into, where there is a application or a contact us form or a lead generator on your website where it automatically, people put their email address in, people put their name in there, and it sends it automatically to Active Campaign, and you're able to take that information automatically, right, so that you can send them future correspondence, but you're also able to do drip and automation campaigns so that when somebody comes in through that contact form, the contact form is a really popular one, right? Who doesn't have a contact form on their website? Like, I'm not even talking about lead generation, just basic contact form, right? But as a small business, are you going to be up answering emails at 2 in the morning? No. So a lot of times the very first email that I automate for a client is, hey, thanks for getting back with us. Hey, we're a small business. We're going to get back to you within 24 hours, and thank you. We wanted to let you know we've received your response, and we're going to get to you. Along with some automation that MailChimp and Constant Contact cannot do easily. I can automate an email to go back to you and say, hey, why don't you go answer your email?
Like one of those things.
Yeah, like duh. Send you a text message. I can send it for more robust companies. I can have it be sent to specific salespeople. So if something came off, let's say either their specific sales page or there was some drop-down menu that says, what are you interested in? Healthcare, government, what would be another industry? But you get the idea. 5 different industries where you have 5 different salespeople and each one runs a specific one. You can have Active Campaign, split that up into 5, have the system read, is it A, B, C, or D? Okay, it needs to go to this salesperson, this one needs to go to this salesperson, this one needs to go to this salesperson. And then inside you'll see a lot of the data-driven things that you can see on Constant Contact or MailChimp. where you can tell when they've opened the email, what's your open rate, your bounce rate, all the basics. But you can get super complicated into tagging, you know, what if somebody clicks a link in an email, it's going to add a tag. So I can tell you in this room, for those of you who are on my personal list or the Business Growth Network list, I can tell you every time you clicked on something, I can segment you into you're interested in Evernote, you're interested in Facebook ads, you're interested in Active Campaign, you're interested in social media through Facebook and Twitter, but not Instagram. It can get a little creepy. I can tell you when you've been on my website and what pages you visited. So when I go to, like, let's say make a phone call to you to see where you stand on something, or, you know, hit you up for a proposal, I already know so much about you that I can create a conversation with you that seems very seamless and effortless and natural, but I have all sorts of data to pull from. So I'm not pitching you anything you don't already want, right? And that makes it really nice. And you can break that up and you can set up all those automations by somebody subscribes to a list, somebody unsubscribes from a list, submits a form. If your web page is visited down to, like, if they hit a sales page, maybe but they didn't buy, you can get a deeper integration and say, I'm going to send them a custom email that says, you know, gives them an offer. You know, they didn't bite on my sales page, I'm going to automate an offer that goes out to them that says, you know, 10% off if you buy in the next 3 days, if you call now. That I can be able to track from that. I can add them into a deal system. That's more of the full CRM. You can split test. Split testing, I don't foresee a lot of the people in this room doing yet. You really need good numbers. But to explain some of, we were at a conference where somebody's got like 1 million contacts, right? So split testing definitely is worth it. They sent 2 emails split testing, so the system does the split testing for you. They said, I want to send 10% of my list these emails. And on each email, the copy was exactly the same, but the subject line was different. They made money off of that, right? But obviously one performed better than the other. They took the winner of that headline, sent the next email to the next 10% of their list with the winning headline, and then they changed the copy. So 2 sets of different copy. The system, you know, randomly sends it to the next 10% and pick the winner, because of course, same thing, one email performs better. Then turn around and send the winner of the headline, the winner of the copy out to the rest of the 80%. Why does that matter? Based on the average, if you only sent it the original, you know, one email, the base one that you're measuring by, if you had sent that to your entire list, given its average per customer, you know, feedback, they left about $50,000 on the table. So does split testing work? Yes, it does, especially when you have larger lists. And this is also going to give you real insights into your campaign and your contacts and geo-tracking. Some of the smaller companies do this. This will also, as soon as they start clicking, it'll tell you exactly which neighborhood they're in. It'll also start bringing in their social media information so that you can reach additional touch points. You can connect with them on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and the different ones they're using. So that gets into a lot of the part where you're going to find that it's very equal-ish to some of the other programs that you're used to. Some of what I talked about was the marketing automation, and that was really where it separates one from another. This, you kind of see like a campaign here. This is some of the ways that everything is segmented. Everything's, you know, A or B, left or right, yes or no. It's much easier than setting up like the Infusionsofts of the world and the Entreports of the world, where the complications get a little bit more tricky. Active Campaign, all the integrations are just 1 or 2 line API entries, so you don't have to code, you just have to copy paste. Big fans of they tell you, copy this here, right? So when you're doing this, this is simple drag and drop, and when I open it up, I'll show you how to build that one out. And this goes into what I was telling you about the deep customizations, where you can send the right message to the right person at the exact right time that they need it. They call it intelligence-driven automations, but if I send one blanket email to everyone, not everyone is interested in that email. Not everyone is interested in Evernote. Not everyone is interested in Active Campaign. If I already know someone uses Infusionsoft, I'm not going to be pitching them Active Campaign or Active Campaign consultations or build-outs. And all of this is documented, so no matter what they do in here, that's the benefit of any kind of digital marketing, is everything's incredibly trackable. Every little aspect of what they do and how they move around in your system is trackable. Some of y'all, like most of y'all, when I have pointed y'all in the direction of Active Campaign, I've only talked about their starter light version of $9 a month. It's a little easier to get into, right? It's $9 a month, directly competitive to what you're already using and oftentimes less expensive. For the sales teams and the people that are dealing with a little bit bigger business, it has the full CRM capability to track deals. You can put dollar amounts in there so that when you open the dashboard, it says that you've got $19,000, $20,000 on the table. You've closed $5,000. You need to work on closing that other 15, so that you can see how you're doing and kind of give you that little burst of go get it done.
So is this system receiving data from your website or your Facebook site, or how's it?
Everywhere you integrate it to. So
okay.
I have not seen where it integrates with Facebook. So you're not going to see that they've integrated with a post. I did talk to a guy that hard codes Facebook Messenger today and does a chat, I think that's the name, chatbot. Now his is not like mini chat where I've kind of used to deliver something while I'm talking to some of you. He actually codes it in the Facebook API. His will automatically integrate with Infusionsoft and Entreport. It works with Active Campaign, but he can send information from the Facebook Messenger to Active Campaign. But to pull it back, that's what I was going to talk about, like I mentioned, that it pulls in the entire profile versus one piece of information. So his was so deeply integrated with Infusionsoft that in the Facebook Messenger, let's say for a real estate agent, it automates the Facebook Messenger to, thanks for, talking, would you like to have a free home evaluation? Yes, I would. What's your address? It would automatically send that information to Infusionsoft through Google API and back. So now Infusionsoft has that data. But it could, for Active Campaign, it can send that data over, but it's hard to get it to come back in one piece. It's not going to just send the address. This one is not as robust in that particular direction, at least not at this point, but it's easier to use. So to give kind of an example, Infusionsoft is a great example. It has a lot of capabilities in Salesforce as well. The nickname for Infusionsoft is Confusionsoft. When you hire someone to build out something, like when I build out a full automated sequence on Active Campaign and set up somebody, it's around $5,000. If I set up somebody for Infusionsoft, your consultants are looking more like $20,000, just because of the complications and the level and the training that goes in just to learning the system. But if you'll look right here, I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with Trello. So inside Active Campaign, when you do the full CRM, you'll get little stacks that look like this, and you can customize them to your specific sales process. I've set up ones that are as long as 21 cards long, and some that are short as 3. Lead, call, close. Just keep it really simple. I do prefer clients to have something like follow-up, thank you cards. Automated, something, tell them thank you, right? And, getting the referral type things. But this does track, so when you come in the morning and you pull up your dashboard, you're like, here are my leads, here's who I've sent a proposal out to, here's who I need to follow up with, so that you and anyone on your sales team can log in, and it's even done by person. So if you have a larger sales team, it's tracked by person. So inside, we had one, and I just loosely set it up for Business Growth Network. David has responsibilities, I have responsibilities. I can't get him to do them, which is why I didn't focus on it. But it does have that capability. And when I talked about the sales automation through those sequences, that can be completely tied into the CRM. So back to the landing page, if somebody lands on your pricing page, you can say, if you land here, add the deal to the lead. I don't want to add my random customers. Who is it? Susan, who came in here from Offbeat Business Show. She talked about wanting to have that big audience. They'll never buy from you. That you're just not their client, but they love listening to you. They like your freebies. those are great people to have inside your CRM and your email automation sequence because they're going to promote you. You know, when I was pitching the client, the very large client, for their company, and they were like, oh, well, how'd you get the speaking engagement at the Plano Chamber of Commerce? And I had to stop and think. I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea who sent them. They went into my contact, my contact us and said, we want you to speak. I couldn't tell you who sent them or how they found me, but it's probably because I have lots of people that I've also talked to that if somebody needs somebody in marketing, they're like, oh yeah, Jena. They're not buying from me, so it's good to have those people in your system. It's good to add value to those people. But you also don't want to flood your deal inbox with people who are not buyers, right? So this helps you keep it clean to just the people that are going to be purchasing from you. You use SalesFlare. That kind of does what this part does. It's just not as integrated with all your drip emails, so you don't pull in as much information.
But I don't do
And your other email campaigns. And also at this level, the other nice part that kind of more integrates with like what Salesforce does is from that point, if I just want to send one single email out to Rayanne, that's it. I can go to her card or her contact, send an email through this system, and I will get all the feedback and tagging information. I'll know when she opened it, and that will be kept in my system along with any of my notes, any of my calls. I can connect it with text messaging services that automatically text message her. If I have a scheduling page like Acuity or Calendly or the Book Like a Boss, completely ties in through things like Zapier, so all that information is pulled in. When somebody books a free consultation with me for the coffee for the moms and the veterans, all that information is automatically in there, and it automatically sends them where they need to meet me at and at what time, and I don't have to touch it. And then when I go to email them, I know how they know me. Oh, they met with me for coffee and we talked. So I can send them very customized emails based on what they've done. So
I think the point that you just made is one that I struggle with even on a limited basis, is forgetting where I met with somebody and when. So I can go back and find them. Oh, I met with Dave something or other. I can't remember. Keeping track of that is
it's hard.
Yeah, at least when you get old.
It's hard when you're young and
Right,
scatterbrained.
Not like you. You're not old enough yet.
I'm still scatterbrained.
I'm talking about.
I talked to a guy today, the coder that I talked to, and of course it's at 8 in the morning. I have no makeup. I'm actually still in bed with my daughter, like squeezing me and hugging me and like doing her cute thing.
That's great.
But I do like to schedule early morning appointments, and we meet on a Zoom, and so he's totally got the window open up where I can see him, and I'm like, no, you're just getting voice. Sometimes I'm muting him. He doesn't realize I'm muting him. Turns out I know him. I met him at the conference, and we're sitting there having a whole conversation for 30 minutes. And I was like, I'm good at faces. I don't even remember you. I was so overwhelmed at the conference with people. So this is the dashboard, and I will be the first to admit that I have not been properly keeping up with it. My pipeline, you'll see, I don't have a lot of information going on right there because, like Randy, for pipeline, I moved kind of like the SalesFlare to try it out because I like how it imports my emails from my other systems. I thought it was going to interact better with the proposal system.
I'm struggling with SalesFlare right now to try to get it to find the opportunity. You hit the plus sign, and I can't seem to get past that to add the opportunity.
We can work on that, so lots of people who use ActiveCampaign will use like Pipeline Drive or Pipe Drive, one of those. SalesFlare is basically very similar.
Yeah.
I will probably set up our pipeline here very specific to Business Growth Network, and just focus on the other one and hope that there's a stronger integration with the proposal system. All it does right now is bring in contacts. I was like, really? That's it? I was hoping that I sent a proposal and they agreed and they paid, that it would move it automatically through the pipeline. Just have to do that automatically.
That's SalesFlare you're talking about?
Yeah, SalesFlare with better proposals.
Oh, so
yeah. I was hoping it would do that automatically.
Okay.
Whereas this one, there are certain aspects it will do automatically. So
well, it needs to be a human intervention. Really?
No, my
I would-
goal in everything is automation. Like
Right.
I'm working with Roger Wakefield right now of Texas Green Plumbing. He's hit one spot. He's a successful plumbing business. The numbers, I'm looking at the numbers, he has a successful business. But how do you grow to be Benjamin Franklin? How do you grow to be these bigger companies, the Baker Brothers of the world?
Right.
That's through automation. The more you have people involved, the more mistakes you have, the more time. It is far more expensive for me to hire a person to sit there and move things through like that than it is for me to pick a system to automate the process. So, as I bought Samcart, and there are some parts of my business I would love to automate. Those will go through here because this does it automatically and I don't have to do it.
Is there a risk with that automation, that either you move something that is not really qualified, or you don't move something that really is
If
qualified?
someone goes through and they purchase my product, I want to automatically move them over. I want to open
So you're
this.
setting the criteria
Yes.
that moves it?
I
Okay.
want to be able to open this dashboard and not 50 dashboards or not an
Right.
email. I want one spot where I can go in and see, here's kind of my to-do list for the day. Hey, 2 people bought my strategies. I need to create Trello cards for them. I need to start delegating tasks to the appropriate people and gather the information I need. So, and that comes back to user experience. Anytime you can make the user experience easier and faster, that somebody is not waiting on an email from you, waiting on a phone call, trying to connect. Oh, you weren't there, you were busy.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Anytime you can move them forward
Mhm.
and use the automations for that, you're going to create a better user experience. You're going to get clients that are happier. They're going to have better reviews, and it's less time on you.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing. I've even automated like monthly emails. You know, if somebody wants to send one monthly email, because if you're already building the emails, let's say you've sent like 20 great emails, one a month to your clients, right? Well, the person who signs up today, they didn't receive those 20 wonderful emails. So automating that system to automatically send those emails so they get those wonderful emails that you spent so much time on, you can make sure, like, you don't want to go back and send them to that, where you can just automate it when they sign up for your newsletter or they sign up to be a client and you want to add, the value added that, Dave and I always talk about, and the education, so you're educating the client. I mean, that's what I spent all, the entire 2 hours of my meeting doing with this client, was telling them they didn't need social media. What they needed was a system and a strategy, and then we can talk social media.
Right.
But their systems were so antiquated, I was like, spend all the money you want. It's not going to do anything. It's going to be wasted. So if you can educate the client long before they've even talked to you about this stuff, especially the business to
Is your
business.
funnel gets clogged and nothing's moving, and then you're losing
But
business.
that's what having that, let's see if I can go to deals. Like I said, I have not been focusing on these. From start of the funnel over here, right, to, all the way to the end of the funnel, if I see my funnel is clogged on the very beginning where leads are, then I know that maybe I need some people to come in and help me cultivate those leads, or maybe I need to automate that lead structure to move them over. Unfortunately, like for this list, this is for exposure and, getting speaking engagements on podcasts and on TV. I'm not to a point where I trust somebody doing the pitch. The pitch is so unique to each individual opportunity.
Absolutely.
And unless I hire a PR person who's specific to me and knows me, I'm not going to be able to help them. So this is a clog. That's something that if I were looking at where can I help, that's it. Whereas, some of this other stuff, I can hire I can have my executive assistant come in and say, I need you to follow up here. Hey, Jenna, this one's being accepted. Here's the information. Here's the schedule. Here's what time, and add that. They can automate that portion. And if I see it clogged, then I know I can say, this is where we're having a clog. This is where there's an issue.
So is that sales flare? Or is,
No, this is inside Active Campaign.
Okay,
It
so
is
it looks very much like
extremely
sales.
similar.
yeah, right.
So is it, you were probably gonna ask the same question. Is that the value journey
Yeah,
canvas?
it
that you
can
have?
be.
Okay, yeah, we just can't
I've
read
heard
it,
it.
like, we don't know what you have up there.
No,
Mine are
it's
so
not
far
really
stuff.
pertinent what you have in there. Like I said, this one happens to be my exposure list. So I wanted to be able to have all the information in one place. so that my guys aren't trying to do it on my Trello, or, you know, I debated whether to do it in Trello or in here, but this one has, now I can track where they are. I can see if they've been on my, you know, my web page, and so I can know, like, if are they really interested, or, you know, is it like me pitching, you know, Entrepreneur Magazine and I just fell flat and the idea wasn't good enough, right? So that happens to be this one, but that's that deal that meant something to me, right? That's important to me, because if I'm in Entrepreneur Magazine and I can say I've been in there, it's easier to get larger speaking engagements, paid engagements, bigger clients are going to see me, I can get bigger and better things, right? So even though that's not of monetary value, it's important to me, so I wanted to track it. And when and where I can get an email address, I'd rather put that in there. But yes, it's your customer value journey. You may not have some that fit perfectly, but you can even have a tag in there still, so you can say, have I called them? Because sometimes it's not going to be an automated thing. Some clients just need a phone call, right? Some clients need something special, or a site visit, or set up a meeting. That can be done in here, and then you can start automating the pieces that you can. But yes, it tracks them so that you can start perfecting that customer journey in whatever way that you go about it. This is not part of the light version. This is the business $49 a month to start. So if you're going to pay it, make sure you use it, right? Don't want.
Do you know what I have? Because I thought I bought in.
I think you bought the lights. If you did,
$9.
yeah.
Okay. That's why my toolbar looks like.
Yes, so this is completely, this is just this deals tab, and you only get it if you are in that advanced one. I think it might still be up there for the light version, but when you click it, they're like upgrade, right? But part of what this does, think about how somebody moves through that beginning funnel. They also have what's called, you can add a point system. I have not really integrated that. Let me see. So right here, it says score. So I can add different ways to track people and how good they are. So one of the things that I wanted to add with the Business Growth Network is gamification. It just works.
Excuse me?
Gamification?
Gamification?
Yeah,
Yes.
making it a game.
Oh,
So
sorry.
one of the reasons Tinder did so incredibly well, and they really proved the value of gamification, was when they built their application, they didn't build it like a dating app, right? It wasn't anything like Match.com or OkCupid or anything like that. They built it like a video game. You know, that's the swipe left, swipe right. It's just real easy, right? You can sit there and with one thumb.
Yeah.
You get badges and awards for hitting certain marks. I'm not kidding. But this also works well in training. So many of the people in Business Growth Network have problems, you know, they get frustrated online. So what if you gave them an award? You know, get this badge, you know, get signed in online, you know, meet that, and then I can gamify it here. I can add a score to that. That's 2 points. Finish the vision challenge number 1, 2 more points. And the more points you have, you know somebody, that's your way of ranking somebody. How invested are they in your system? How good of a client are you? Now, why would you care? Well, if you're lead scoring, which lead should I call first? Are you going to call the one who scores only a 1 or the one that's 200? The one who's 200 is going to be a much hotter lead, right, than the one who barely has done anything and you haven't gone to your website. It's complicated to set up. It's a pain the first time, but once you have it set up, you can start really knowing who your hot leads are and who are not, who's engaging with your system and who's not. That, unfortunately, is only with the full CRM system, but that is definitely one of the areas I have not integrated myself as well and plan on doing over the next couple months before we launch Business Growth Network. So here's an example. This is your contact list, and this is going to have all your contacts that have entered your system. This is not a spam list. This is not add your entire list that you get at these networking meetings into the system without their permission. That is spam. They will get you for it, because if you get marked as spam, their entire system gets pinged.
Right.
So I've gotten phone calls from an angry client who was getting marked as spam, and now that was a bot, it's not his fault, but they will shut you down. Do not upload illegal list, right? Plus, I will mark you as spam every time if you have not asked for permission. So this is permission based. It doesn't mean that you can't add. So let's say you talk to someone here and they give you permission, I'd like to, send you more information about Business Growth Network. Would you, is that okay? Sure. Highlight them, add them your own. You can download CSVs, import them directly from like MailChimp, Constant Contact, so you don't have to recreate the wheel because that would be hard, right? You can get from lead generation like Facebook lead ads or any of these other ones, you can download them straight to here. Angelo, maybe that's BGN. So here's an example. If you'll notice the tagging. So here's one of my contacts. I've got all of her information. I know where she lives. I know exactly when she came into the system. So especially if you're doing special campaigns or you're doing trade shows, this becomes pertinent information. I know she's interested in travel, blogging, Business Growth Network. She's in networking groups. That's how we know her. She's in the Friday meetup, so that's where she came in. She likes Evernote. She's opted into my Facebook 365, so she obviously is trying to do Facebook marketing. She's interested in Business Growth Network. It does not look like she's actually in it. So this would be somebody that she's shown interest but not actually opted in. 30-day business training. I can't even remember which that one is.
So you entered all that manually?
No.
No?
No.
Oh,
This is all automated.
interesting.
Now I can add, so I probably did the networking group. That's like usually that's how I like tag somebody. I'm like, this is where I know them. Sometimes I'll get really specific, and say it's the VIP or VIB group, or it's a Frisco Moms group. So when people do my free consultations, I'll try to mark them as a veteran or Frisco Mom or Plano Mom or something like that. But that's a lot of information to know about someone that I've never had a I have no idea who that is. I've never had a face-to-face conversation that I can remember. But now if I call her or I go to write her an email, I know this information. I know what she's interested in.
Can you make a field that asks the question, do I know her? And then it becomes a manual field where you get to acknowledge?
I would just tag it.
So you can tag.
I can tag it.
Okay, got it.
But I can come in here, I can click on her, and this is stuff I'd like to clean up. I need to make it more streamlined. But I can put any custom information in here I want.
Okay.
So I can add any kind of field. I can do it from a form field. I can add it manually. I can tell what organization she's with. I can bring in information, and it'll automatically create fields. So if I'm bringing in information from like Xavier, I can tell you what list she's on. So she's a business owner. What automations she's been through. I can add any of those.
I noticed that tags, Evernote only allows one-word tags. Here you can do more.
That's how Evernote, that's their easy search.
Right.
If you were to do a Google search, it's kind of the same way.
Right.
Like it'll put them together, but it's essentially single words.
Got it.
Yeah, this one is whatever I decide to call it.
All right.
It's not, because it's not a search function. I mean, you can certainly pull up only the people who have the Evernote tag,
Got it.
but it is not for searching.
Okay.
So that's a little bit how
It's for grouping.
It's for grouping. There you go.
Got it.
I have a full activity stream of everything they've done. From open my emails, they clicked a link, campaign sent, automation. I know which ones they've never opened. So if I can go in there and I see they've never opened an email from me, I'll put them through an automation whose only job is to try to re-engage them. And if they don't, or they get pinged back or something, I'll dump them. Because I pay for this system through the number of contacts. I don't want dead contacts. I don't want to spam people. I don't want to email. So I can put them through an automation that sees like, are you there? Do you still care? Do you have a business? Do you want to grow? There's all sorts of different ways that you can ask them these questions. And if they don't respond to any of them,
Right.
dump them. Because that hurts your deliverability rates.
Right.
If nobody opens your emails, what some marketers will do will actually dump them into a bucket, download the CSV, import them into MailChimp, and keep on spamming them, essentially. And that way, because at 200, you get 200 for free. So they'll just keep on doing that, and they're not worried about it because it's MailChimp. So why does MailChimp have bad deliverability rates? Because that's how people use it.
Pissing people off.
Oh, dang.
When you offer it for free for up to 200 contacts, people use the system, right? So this is down here is where I said you could send, where you can track all the emails that you've sent, specifically emails. But down here you can add tasks to do, add notes. So like if you have a phone call, when you think of like a Salesforce or something like that, every time they want you to log your phone calls and the information, there's a space for that. And then you can send your custom emails. You know, I've already got my bylines and all that in there, and I can just start typing, send that directly to them, and just like my other emails, if I send them from my, what is Safari, my Apple email or whatever they call theirs, I have no tracking capability on that. I have no idea if they've opened it or not.
Right, just saying, you just know you sent
If I send it this way, I can tell you they've opened this particular email 14 times. I can put a link in there that when they click on it, it adds tags. So I can start watching what they're doing. I can
Don't
see.
email systems, if it's a corporate, don't they prevent that from happening?
Prevent what from happening?
Having tags, in other words, for instance, in Outlook, if you're doing Outlook to Outlook, you can ask to get a read receipt, you can get a delivery receipt.
Yeah.
But you can't ask Outlook to tell you every time it opens. And in fact, most companies using Outlook will not allow that information to go back out.
And there might be limitations on that. I know they will definitely get around that on the link system because
If
it's
you're using Gmail,
using
probably
a
works fine.
tracking link. So it takes the
Okay.
link that I add in there and adds tracking information.
Okay.
So if you're clicking a link, it's not the original link that I put in there. It's got a bunch of little hashtags and whatever on there for UTM codes or whatever they do. That goes into far more than I care to
So
know.
like my email system will not accept links unless it'll give me a notice and tell me there's a link and I have to decide whether I want to see it or open
And
it.
that is an option. So when I send out emails, I that's something I consider.
Okay.
Do I want a link in there?
Got
Do I
it.
want it text only?
Okay.
Same thing with this system. Like if you'll notice my my byline here has no links. I mean, this one shows up blue because phone numbers,
Right.
your system
Automatically do that, yeah.
does it automatically.
Dial.
But yeah, that's I generally for that part do not add links on purpose for that exact reason. David's up here griping at me. So contacts, campaigns, automations. We just list. List is just how you group. Please be careful what you name your list because if they go to unsubscribe, they can see the name sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't want them to be called bucket or undesirables, right?
I was on the
Forms are
Dog
really
meetings.
nice. I'm a big fan of using forms and sometimes really annoyed because of all the bot traffic on the internet. So your contact us form, your opt-in forms can be done this way, built inside here, so you don't have to have fancy plugins. You can just use ActiveCampaign and insert and embed the code on your website, and that's easier than it sounds. I'm not even sure. I use reports. This is new to me. Huh, that's cool. All my stuff in one spot. I should pay attention more.
So how do you avoid, there was an expression in the Air Force years ago that said, it was General Ludwig who said, we have too much data, not enough information. So how
That
do
is
you
very
avoid
important. So
not
one
being in
thing
that
before you do
situation?
any campaign is to ask yourself what data is important to me. And especially if you have a bigger organization, you as a business owner are going to care about certain data
Okay.
and someone else can worry about this data. So as a business owner, that's the hardest part, right? Is we have too much data we're trying to track.
Right.
But that's where I really like the deals because I can go in there and I can just see where am I at. Right? I can see how much money am I leaving on the table, how many leads do I need to follow up on, and as an individual trying to run, you know, what are you really worried about? Revenue.
Right.
If you don't have revenue, you've got nothing.
Right.
The other one that most people are worried about in most industries are leads. You know, the meeting I had was very, you know, more leads, more money.
Right.
If I have 100 leads to call in versus 1,000 leads, one is obviously going to turn over better. I think at the beginning of the year when I was trying to really, you know, same thing, do my own business plan, come up with my own SMART goals like we've been talking about, one of them was that somebody asked was, you know, if I sit down with somebody, what's my conversion rate? I didn't calculate my own, like, I can calculate the conversion rate of an email. that does it for me. It pops up a pretty number. I have never thought to calculate the conversion rate of what happens when I sit down or I go meet with a client. What is my conversion rate? It's like 50% or more. Like if I sit down with a client, I usually close them. So then what do I know? What is my metric? Get more meetings, right? Will my conversion rate go down with more meetings? Probably, because I've been very temperate about who I decide. But not by that much. I go in, especially if I'm dealing with angry men, seem to be my specialty. I told the owner of a company he's wrong. How many people are going to tell somebody he's wrong when he's got a highly successful company? Not very many. That usually grabs their attention. I'm very combative. They give it back to me, I swing it right back at them. So I close that way. Girls, not so much. I don't do woohoo or woo-woo, whatever they call it. I don't do feelers and therapists. It's not me. Imagine that, right? But when you know the ones that matter to you, my dental client in the UK, he just wants phone calls. He's like, I can close 80% of them. That's incredible. So what metric does he measure for me? How many phone calls am I getting? Who was somebody else? Oh, it was Roger. He was talking about somebody was going to handle the phone calls for him, but their close rate was less than 20. He's like, I'm angry if it's less than 80. If he gets a phone call, he wants to close them. So what metric matters to you? And think about that. So we talked about the customer journey beforehand. At each stage of that customer journey, depending on what you can get, depending on the different types of methods that you're using, what is your method and your metric for getting those leads? If you're using Facebook ads, that's going to have a measurement that you're going to watch out to see if it's effective. If moving them to the next one, maybe it's how many people visit your website, how many people are opening my email. So when you're setting up that customer journey, whether it's in SalesFlare or if it's in the deals here, an active campaign, at each step, that's where it's nice to have this right here. How are you moving them through? And then you can just look at that metric for each one. Any other questions?
When you said you gotta ask for permission, are you asking permission to be on a distribution list, or what are you really asking for permission?
So that depends on how you do it. There are certain accepted norms that you don't have to say, like, do you give me permission to send you automated emails? If I'm advertising you on Facebook and I send you to a landing page that says, do you want to download my 73-point marketing checklist, and you give me your email and you give me your name and I tell you I'm going to see, thank you for submitting, check your inbox, you've essentially given me permission. If you contact me, I kind of like, you've given me permission to at least do it over here, right? So have they chosen to give you their information is a big one. Or did you try to scrape it off of LinkedIn? That's a big one.
And if you give them the ability to opt out,
and you must, well, that gets into a whole of email rules and regulations. The reason why I have a virtual office, even though I prefer to work from home or in the office of my clients, is because on each email has to be my address. And I don't want that to be my home address, so I have a virtual office that I can use their address. In each email, it is mandated you must have an unsubscribe link. Now, how you format it, it's your decision. But if you don't do it in Active Campaign, it's such a big deal for the government and spam laws. They will automatically add it in their own formatted style at the bottom if you don't. So yeah, that's a big deal. Is do you have an unsubscribe link, even if it's hidden in the mumble jumble somewhere?
I'll have a question about that after the meeting.
Yeah, but the reality of it is you just want to be sending emails and information to people.
Smart emails.
That want it. You automate it or otherwise.
Or want it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll never be a client, but they want your information.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I get 300 emails a day, even people that I opt out. And I have to cull it down every so often. So, well, anyway, thanks, Jenna. That was educational. Started asking yourself, what's the point? Maybe you need a breakthrough. Maybe you're trying. Maybe things are really good, and you just are stuck. You're stuck at that level. You're just, how do I take it to the next level? Maybe you need a breakthrough because this isn't getting it.